In this video, we're going to be talking about anamorphic for E-mount on the Canon EOS M dual mount setup. You'll notice here, this indent here is what clips into this button on the bayonet mount. Now, you'll notice how this lip is different, slightly different than the lip on the Voigtlander lens as such, right? This is not only further out, but it goes further in than the simple precise dot that's engineered for the Sony lenses exactly. Now, the button that's on the bayonet mount, where it is on the Canon, is different than where it is on Sony. It's slightly, actually on the Sony, it's slightly further out by like a micromillimeter, if that's an actual measurement. So for that reason, if you're to mount any sort of E-mount that has electronic contacts, not only is it going to be a bit tight, but you're going to have to mod that rear bayonet mount in the same way that I've modded this kit lens here. This kit lens now clicks because I just opened this up, grounded it through, and put it back on. So that's the first thing you got to be cognizant of. And for that reason, I highly recommend that before you make a purchase of an E-mount lens that's exclusively for your Canon, then I would highly recommend you rent it first to ensure that it is the lens that you want. There is a slight offset. So if I were to take this Laowa and I were to go ahead and snap that in, all of the reading indicators are now right here on the bottom, slightly off actually because of the difference. Now, I don't know what the exact degrees is in terms of this versus this. You could do a measure with like whatever instrument would be the appropriate instrument to make that happen. But regardless, the issue is that a lot of the anamorphic E-mount lenses, to my knowledge, I could be mistaken, but to my knowledge, the front aspect does not rotate, right? You cannot rotate it. Whereas on something like a front anamorphic element, a front anamorphic adapter, you can rotate it by simply pressing this red button. Now, it's pretty well dampened in order for you to be able to do that. We just press the button, and then now you can rotate that front element to be aligned appropriately, depending on whether you want vertical or rather this would be vertical anamorphic and this would be horizontal anamorphic. So it would give you a wider screen versus this would give you a taller screen. Why would you want a wider versus taller? Well, it has to do with the ratios of shooting on the EOS M. Some of the stuff is 2.39 by 1 ratio, so it's already wider than it is tall. So you can use this. Now, this is a 1.25x squeeze. In order for you to go from 2.39 to 1 and be able to bring that to a 16:9 aspect ratio, then what you're gonna need is actually a 1.33 front adapter. So this kind of gets you there, almost gets you there, but a 1.33 would probably have been better. So I know Moment makes that, but that wasn't available for rental. So I just went ahead with the 1.25. So you'll still get some black bars, but you'll be able to get some of that real estate of your screen back. What I like about this, the flares are not that apparent. They're not that pronounced. And the fact that it's got 82mm thread in the front and the back. So this is going to give me coverage across a lot of different mounts. Now, all I have to do if I want to switch from a standard field of view of a 40mm and I want to bring it to the 10mm, I already got the step-up ring set up there, and boom, now I have the 10mm lens set up as a anamorphic, and it's a good size. It's well weighted. As is actually quite front heavy. Get the appropriate grip or cage. And then on top of that, get a little top handle. And then this is essentially your handheld rig setup, and you're more or less good to go. Now, if you want to do some gyro data stabilization, get yourself an Insta360 Go 2, or in my case, I have a wonderful spouse who gifted me one for my birthday. And so I got my hands on one of those in that manner. And there you have it. You've got a nice 360 rig. And if you wanted to do multicam with the, not 360 rig, but if you wanted to do multicam with the Insta360 Go attached, which is essentially the equivalent of like a 9mm with a full frame, and you get square video, boom, you're set. This becomes your handheld, digitally stabilized anamorphic rig, and you can do this. So this is what it looks like with the 10mm attached. And if I were to, and it's easy, like it's good. It's not that heavy. The front heaviness actually makes it really easy to grab right here in the middle. And it's more or less balanced, maybe a little bit front heavy, but with 2 fingers, the balance here is pretty good. This is a little offset, but there you go. The way we do with the 40mm, take it as is. Going to be a little bit tight. This is with the assumption that you got the 40mm and then you modified the bayonet mount, and so that you could get it to slip in. Take off the Suray 1.25x anamorphic adapter, and then screw it onto the front right here, just as easily. Boom, and you're set. And that becomes your 40mm handheld rig. And the good thing about this here is now I'm able to match that to the front of the glass. Let me make sure that that clips in. Boom, that's good. And there you go. Obviously I need to make it so that the front element is also aligned. That's if I want to have vertical or horizontal anamorphic, and I keep turning until I get the alignment to match the horizontal or vertical anamorphic, and we're good. You can fine tune this further with something like using a flashlight to ensure that your flares are lining up right, and that's it. You're good to go. This is basically my vertical anamorphic setup to get nearly 16:9 back from 2.39 footage. Hope you guys found benefit in that. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave them in the comments below. I'll see you soon.